Am I the asshole for asking my guests to pay $10 to come to my wedding? My fiancé, 23M, and I, 23F, are getting married in less than a month. We are doing a small wedding and only inviting 20 guests. We decided we wanted to have our wedding up in a canyon, but to access this canyon it costs $10, so we're having our guests pay the $10 to enter the canyon. We put this canyon fee on our invitations. My sister called today as she had just received her invite in the mail and was mad about having to pay to attend a wedding. She called me an a-hole because I was being a cheapskate and there are thousands of canyons that won't have a fee. But me and my fiancé already have our hearts set on this specific canyon and view. As the argument went on, she started to nitpick our whole wedding plan. Having the guests bring their own camping chairs. Not having a real reception, just a small dinner for those who attended and posting our registry all over social media, but only having 20 people actually be invited. We don't want to spend a lot of money, and so doing it outdoors is one way of doing that. We also just want our close intimate friends and families to be there, so I don't know what's wrong with keeping it small. To those who will ask, it's a canyon fee you have to pay at the base, so it's not like we could just pay the park rangers in advance and just say this should cover it. It's open to the public. So AITA. Info, update. 1. No, it is not in a national park. It's just a canyon near our hometowns. We talked to the rangers, Forest State Park. I don't know why you call them. They said it was fine as long as we didn't go over 100 people. 2. I didn't realize posting your registry to social media was such a faux pas. Everybody posts everything nowadays online, and many people, who already knew they weren't invited, had asked me about the registry, so I posted it. 3. Yes, we talked to the rangers. We asked them if we could buy passes or slips or give them a list of names ahead of time in order to pay for our guests, but none of those solutions worked. We decided informing our guests that there would be a $10 fee as a heads up would be the best way to go. I guess we should have been more creative, but we already sent out the invites. So there goes one half the suggestions. We are taking some of the other ones under advisement. Probably going neath an usher or a bus at the gate. Those were good ideas. 4. When we said small dinner, we were referencing the size of the after party or lack thereof. No reception, not the amount or quality of the food. But thanks again for your judgment. 5. I accept the judgment that I am asshole, but 23 is not that young to be getting married. It wasn't about the money. It was about the logistics, and none of this has any bearing on if my marriage will succeed or fail. You don't know our relationship, so please stop. 6. All our guests, other than our parents and my sister and my fiancé's 3 sisters, are outdoors-type college friends from the area. So it's not a big deal. Ps. Also, it might just be a cultural thing because 2 people guessed Utah, southern Utah, and we are from right near St. George. Very outdoorsy towns. So maybe it's all just cultural. Not having a real reception, just a small dinner for those who attended and posting our registry all over social media, but only having 20 people actually be invited. You are the asshole, not sure which is worst. $10 entry fee, BYO chair, or getting the registry over social media and not being invited to the wedding. I guess there are no bathrooms at this canyon dinner? Better add BYO ass wipes. Oof, buddy. I was trying to be open-minded, but you lost me at posting your registry on social media, soliciting gifts from people who aren't invited. That is tacky as fuck. This canyon is clearly not meant to be a wedding venue. The least you can do is pay for people's entrance fees. You are the asshole. Am I the asshole for making my 7-year-old go to Alcoholics Anonymous? I, 31F, have an amazing son, almost 8, who is incredibly sweet, well-mannered and inquisitive. Although, I guess most parents think of their kids that way. I quit drinking about 2 months ago and have been adamant about doing the AA program correctly: 90 meetings in 90 days, sponsor, daily readings, therapy, etc. I really want to be a good mom and make up for my bad decisions when I was drinking. I never harmed him or put him in danger, but I just wasn't present and am remorseful about my drinking past. The problem is that I'm a single mom who works full-time and I live in a small town. Because it's small, there aren't a lot of options in terms of AA meetings, so the only one I can really attend is the 5:30 based on my schedule and my son's. His father has him part-time, so on those days, I can attend meetings by myself, but on my days I have to bring my son. I don't have anyone to leave him with, and babysitting wouldn't work because nobody wants to babysit for just 1 hour. It doesn't financially make sense for them. So, I take my son to meetings. Naturally, he isn't too thrilled when I have to. Before you suggest I could do Zoom meetings, I really don't get anything out of them. I like the in-person connection and atmosphere. My ex, who has never taken my alcoholism seriously and has never actually attended an AA meeting, says I'm the asshole for exposing our child to that kind of atmosphere, and those kinds of people. The truth is, those people are what have saved my life. They are so sweet and good with my son, and, while sometimes the subject matter can be a little adult-ish, we mostly talk about how to be better people and live a spiritually sound existence and to help our fellow man. I personally think it's good for my son to be surrounded by people that are trying to better themselves, and also to let him know at an early age the effects of alcoholism as it runs in my family. But maybe I'm the asshole and way off the mark and am doing more damage than good. I would just like outside opinions that aren't emotionally connected to the situation. Am I the asshole for taking my 7-year-old to AA meetings with some of the topics that are addressed? Edit. I super appreciate everyone's responses. It gave me a lot of insight. Admittedly, I didn't really think about how other members may feel about having a child there. I was mostly thinking about the comfort of my son. I will say that the group is all old-timers that have years of sobriety and largely just talk about service work and how much better their lives are. But, as many have pointed out, the presence of a child may deter members from talking about serious subjects, so I'll either just give my kid headphones and a tablet to play with, something I usually hate doing but I guess I'll just have to suck it up, or do Zoom meetings when I have him. Again, thank you for all of the input, even the people that were incredibly harsh with their verdict. I'm not comfortable calling you an asshole over this because you're between a rock and a hard place, but yes, it's inappropriate subject matter for a child. It might make other members feel they can't speak their real experiences, meaning they cannot get anything out of the meetings. The topics often cover abuse, death, etc., and that's not appropriate for a child. It will not be fair to other members, or your child. AITA people often tell their stories of the worst times in their lives. These topics are unacceptable for a child, and unfair to the other members. You have to find a babysitter or do Zoom classes, do not take your child. It's not fair to anyone to bring him. Edit. Cheers for the awards, lovely humans. Info. Are you able to give him a screen and headphones so he doesn't hear stuff that he shouldn't be hearing yet? Am I the asshole for keeping a massive secret from my parents? My parents, F66 and M70, and I, F32, have had a bit of a strained relationship since I was young. My sister was always favored while I was treated as the maid, which is why I left home as soon as I could. Over the years, our relationship has had its ups and downs, but I would never describe our family dynamics as being particularly normal or healthy. I married my husband, M36, when I was 23, and my parents just about hit the roof. They have never really taken a shining to him and threatened to disown me if I went through with the marriage. When he and I would visit their home, he is subject to the same expectations as I am, whereas my sister gets to put her feet up and relax. Needless to say, my husband does not hold my parents in particularly high regard. My parents emigrated overseas about 10 years ago, and my husband and I have only seen them 3 times in person since. We do chat over FaceTime, Zoom semi-regularly, but the relationships all function better if we aren't breathing down each other's necks. Recently, my husband and I bought our first house and we are over the moon. We plan on growing our family, and we now have the space, and the garden, to do so. I am beyond thrilled. My parents are kept on a strict information diet and we did not tell them that we had bought mostly because they are renting a storage unit not far from us, and we did not want the drama of my parents wanting, expecting, to store all of their furniture in our new house. We also did not tell them that our new house is much more spacious than our old place. As far as my parents are aware, we just moved because it is closer to my husband's job. Unbeknownst to me, my parents have been in the country for about a month and ran into a childhood friend, DF34, of mine yesterday. D told them that I had invited her to coffee today, and it would be so lovely if they came with her and surprised me. D had no way of knowing that I had not told my parents about the spacious new house until they all walked through the front door and my mom lost her mind at me. The main points from my mom's yelling was that our relationship has been good recently, so how could I have kept this secret from them? My husband and I were selfish to have all this space with no regard for the fact that they are renting a storage unit, and that my parents are hurt I don't include them in all parts of my life. Unfortunately, my husband arrived home not long after the tirade started and he told them to stop making a scene under his roof. That is when the other shoe dropped that we had bought instead of rented. Ultimately my parents left after telling me that a true daughter would never keep secrets like this, and I am left feeling like everything could have been avoided if we had told them from the beginning. To be frank, though, I honestly never expected them in my house. They do not have the address and they live overseas. Their reaction demonstrated that your fears were justified. Rather than being happy for you, they were miserable for themselves. Not the asshole. I know this is kind of like comparing apples and oranges, but personally I find it hilarious that your parents have been in the area seemingly without your knowledge for a month, but they're also mad that you haven't told them everything. I mean, it's kind of funny. Also, my vote equals not the asshole. Keep doing what you're doing. Not the asshole. It's a really weird twist of fate that occurred and made them know about the house. You decide what information you share with who, and it's your house, so your rules. How could I have kept this secret from them? My husband and I were selfish to have all this space with no regard for the fact that they are renting a storage unit. They were in the country for a month and didn't tell you. It shows how they are interested in your life. Also, exactly like you predicted, they want to use your house as a storage unit. Am I the asshole for canceling dinner and going home over something my boyfriend's dog did? Hi. I'll preface this by saying that I, 25 female, have been seeing Michael, 31 male, for a while now. He's a really funny, a bit too sarcastic though, guy, and we pretty much get along well. We've been dating for 4 months. Michael likes the food I cook and he wanted me to come to his house to cook him dinner and also meet his dog for the first time. I only saw him in pictures, videos. He's overprotective of him. I grabbed all I needed from the store and went over to his house. All went well. I met his dog, then we sat down to talk. Suddenly his dog started moving in a funny way. Michael was laughing while looking at me. I felt confused. I asked him what the dog was doing and Michael said that the dog was telling him about me. I was like, okay. And then he flat out said that the dog thought I was ugly. This shocked me completely. I looked at Michael and asked if he was serious. He started explaining that his dog is like that with some people and that I shouldn't get offended over an animal's behavior. I felt horrible because I, as a person, always struggled with self-esteem and am no stranger to the word ugly. My issue wasn't with the dog but with what Michael said. It's like he was indirectly giving his opinion about my looks and using his dog as an excuse. Long story short, we had an argument and I ended up canceling dinner and going home. Michael called several times. Then when I picked up, he was lashing out the entire time, saying that I overreacted and that I cannot blame him and punish him for something his dog did. He advised me to get rid of the toxic sensitivity I have and deal with whatever insecurity I have as soon as possible, because what happened will set the tone for our relationship and eventually our marriage later. I did respond later, which caused another argument. My sister said I messed things up with my stupidity and that I should have laughed it off, but for some reason I wasn't able to. Did I overreact here? Michael called several times. Then when I picked up, he was lashing out the entire time, saying that I overreacted and that I cannot blame him and punish him for something his dog did. So, wait a minute. He's continuing to blame his dog for insulting you and is sticking to his story that his dog, not him, thinks you're ugly? This guy is just yikes. I, personally, wouldn't marry someone who communicates by translating his dog's mean-spirited thoughts. That's a whole different level of passive aggressiveness. Wow. Not the asshole. He thinks the dog is talking to him. Is it much of a loss? My cat just told me he sounds crazy. Not the asshole. 4 months relationship. First time in his house, his dog called you ugly, and he yells at you about your future marriage. Run, 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 like the wind.